So you may have noticed that Ron DeSantis has been the butt of quite a few jokes since his botched presidential announcement on Twitter Wednesday night. And for good reason. Those waiting to hear him declare his candidacy were forced to endure 26 minutes of delays, interruptions, and false starts. And many of his opponents on the left and the right had quite a field day ridiculing his Twitter announcement on Twitter while it was happening. That's never the goal. Given the hype, it's safe to say it wasn't in the DeSantis campaign communications plan for the most common descriptions of the event to be words like meltdown, disaster, and worse. Of course, this wasn't the first time DeSantis has endured this kind of mockery. There was the response to those stylish white boots. Those are the ones he wore to survey hurricane damage. There was his extremely awkward laugh at a campaign stop, which went viral and is still uncomfortable to watch. And of course, there's his reputation for eating pudding with his fingers, which was even referenced in a Trump super PAC ad. We could all spend the remainder of the Republican primary talking about awkward DeSantis moments. There will be more. But here's the thing. None of that, nor his apparent failure to launch on Wednesday night, should detract from what he's actually saying. What's been largely overshadowed by the governor's botched announcement is his intent to purge the FBI and fire its director, Christopher Wray. And like Trump, he's talking about pardoning the insurrectionists who took part in January 6th, including the former president himself. But most alarming is his plan to, quote, leverage Article 2 of the Constitution. Now, for those of you who aren't constitutional scholars, Article 2 outlines the limits of what a U.S. president can and cannot do for good reason. It's been pretty important in history. It serves as a crucial guardrail on the powers of the executive branch. And DeSantis has made repeatedly clear this week that he's not actually interested in any limitations or guardrails at all. He's already forecasting that if he's elected, he'll find ways to sidestep constitutional restraints on presidential power. Here's what he said during his announcement on Wednesday.
I understand the different leverage points that you would have under Article 2 of the Constitution. I studied that a lot at becoming governor about Florida's Constitution, doing the same thing for the federal Constitution. And you've got to know how to use your leverage to advance what you're trying to accomplish.
The guy has a law degree from Harvard. I mean, he knows what Article 2 of the Constitution says. And he's effectively telling you he wants to do an end run around it. This wasn't a one-off remark. He said it again later Wednesday night.
We have a bureaucracy that's totally out of control. You need to be willing to use Article 2 power to bring the administrative state to heel. I will do that.
And then if that wasn't enough, he then doubled down with another mention of Article 2 the very next day.
I think you need to clean house. You've got to be willing to use Article 2 power to fire people.
Are you beginning to sense a theme here? Clearly, DeSantis is pitching himself as the guy who will wield power in a way that extends even beyond what Trump did. And he made that crystal clear on Thursday when he said that as president, he'd stretch his authority further than the limits of his predecessors.
You also have to be willing to assert the true scope of Article 2 powers, and I think a lot of our presidents have not been willing to do that.
DeSantis is messaging to the MAGA base that he'll succeed where Trump did not. And let's remember, Trump tried to get away with a whole lot. For DeSantis, this is not about leadership or finding consensus. It's certainly not about his respect for the office he's now seeking or the Constitution. It's about power. He's made no secret of that. And you need only look at his recent remarks about how he governs in Florida.
Yes, I may have earned 50% of the vote, but that entitled me to wield 100% of the executive power, and I resolve to use it to advance conservative principles.
So we can all still enjoy the Twitter memes that mock the next inevitable awkward thing DeSantis does on the campaign trail, but just don't let that distract from what he is actually saying, because that is far more consequential. Coming